Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. So in this particular video we shall begin with the female reproductive system. So far we have covered the male reproductive system in detail along with the different organs and their functions. So here onwards we shall discuss the female reproductive system, and in today's video we shall cover ovaries in detail. Okay, so before going into the details of ovary, let us see what are the different organs of the female reproductive system. Okay, so these include the ovaries, which we are going to cover in this particular video in detail. These are the female gonads, okay, that will produce the female gametes. Okay, so this is the ovary. So in this particular picture it is a sagittal plane. Okay, so only half the details will be visible over here. So this actually, the ovaries are paired in nature. There are two ovaries which are present, okay, on the either sides of the uterus, single uterus. Okay, so the ovaries are the first part, then the second one is the uterine tubes, or these are also known as fallopian tubes popularly, or these are also known as oviduct. So these are also paired. This is the uterine tube. Then the third one is the uterus. There is a single uterus. This is the one just superior to the urinary bladder. Then the next part is the vagina. This is the one. And apart from this, there are certain external organs which are collectively known as vulva or pudendum. Apart from these main parts, the mammary glands are also considered as the part of the female reproductive system. These are also the part of the integumentary system as well as the female reproductive system. Okay, now coming to the ovaries. So let us discuss about the ovaries in detail. So as I've told you earlier, these are the paired female gonads. Okay, ovaries means egg receptacles. Okay, so as we have seen that these are paired, there are two ovaries on either sides of the uterus. This is the uterus. So on the either sides there are two ovaries which are present, okay, and these resemble an unshelled almond in size as well as the shape. Okay, the one which is with the almond along with its shell. Okay, the ovaries are of that size and shape roughly, and these are homologous to testes in males. Okay, we have seen the testes which produce the sperms, that is a male gametes. Now homologous means the origin of the two organs, it is same, that is the embryonic origin, it is the same. That's why these are called as homologous. Now the role of ovaries is to produce the female gametes, that is the secondary oocyte, which will develop into a mature egg or ova after the fertilization. So when the sperm fuses with the secondary oocyte, it results in formation of the ova, okay, after the process of fertilization. Okay, so the gametes, the female gametes, these are produced by the ovaries, and the next important function of ovaries is to produce the hormones. So these include the female sex hormones, that is the progesterone and estrogen. These are the two female sex hormones. So in case of males we have seen testosterone is the male androgen. Okay, so similarly in case of females it is the progesterone and the estrogen. Apart from that, other hormones like inhibin and relaxin are also produced by ovaries. Okay, so these ovaries, okay, one on either sides of the uterus, during the fetal development, that is during the third month, they descend up to the brim of the superior portion of the pelvic cavity. Okay, so that's the location, and these are held in position by a number of ligaments. So the first ligament is the broad ligament of the uterus. So actually it is the part of the uterus okay, outer region of the uterus. So a fold of this particular broad ligament, it's actually the fold of peritoneum. This broad ligament in the form of a double layered fold called as mesovarium, it attaches to the ovaries. Okay, so broad ligament is actually this one, which extends from the uterus. This is the uterus. Okay, so a double fold of this broad ligament, it holds the ovaries. Okay, that's the mesovarium. Okay, this is the one. Okay, so it's the fold of the broad ligament in the form of mesovarium which attaches to the ovaries. Apart from that, another ligament is the ovarian ligament. Okay, ovarian ligament is this one. Okay, so it anchors the ovaries to the uterus, so attaches it to the uterus. Okay, another one is the suspensory ligament which attach the ovaries to the pelvic wall. Okay, now each of these ovaries, okay, this is the frontal plane of the ovary to show the internal details. Okay, so each ovary, it has a structure called hilum or hilus. Okay, that's the point wherein the blood vessels, the nerves, they will enter and exit the ovaries. Okay, now coming to the histology of the ovary. Okay, let us see what are the different histological components of the ovaries. Even this diagram is also very important from exam point of view. The histology of ovary is also very important from the exam point of view. Okay, so let us look into the details of the histology of the ovary. So the first component of the ovary is the germinal epithelium. Now, germin means sprout or bud. So this is the layer of simple epithelium. Okay, it is low cuboidal to squamous epithelial layer which covers the ovary. Okay, so the outer layer of the epithelial tissue, the simple epithelium, okay, that is known as the germinal epithelium. Then deeper to this germinal epithelium lies a whitish capsule of dense irregular connective tissue, and this is known as tunica albuginea. The whitish portion, as you can see over here, just deeper to the germinal epithelium, that is tunica albuginea. Then the next component is the ovarian cortex. Okay, so the ovaries, these are divided into two main regions. The outer region, it is known as the cortex, and the interior layer, obviously it is known as ovarian medulla. So this particular division of regions, we have come across many of the organs before, right? So outer region is known as cortex. Cortex means rind of bark, the outer portion, right? And the medulla means the inner portion, right? So similarly, the ovaries are also divided into ovarian cortex and the ovarian medulla. Okay, so the ovarian cortex, it is the region just deep to the tunica albuginea, that is the white capsule. And this region, it comprises of, as you can see, these, so there are several ovarian follicles, okay, which we'll be considering a little later. So these ovarian follicles, which are surrounded by dense irregular connective tissue, okay, which contains the collagen fibers and fibroblast like cells called stromal cells. Okay, so we'll consider all these details a little later. So as you can see that these different ovarian follicles, these are in different stages of their development, right? Then the next component is the ovarian medulla, that is the deeper portion or the middle region. Okay, so it's lying deep to the ovarian cortex. Now as such, there is no border, as you can see, right, which differentiates the two regions, but the medulla, it consists of more loosely arranged connective tissue, and it contains the blood vessels, lymphatic vessels and the nerves. As you can see in this particular region, the blood vessels, lymphatic vessels are present, even the tissues, these are loosely attached. Okay, then the next component, okay, is the ovarian follicles. Okay, this is what we were talking about, which is present in the ovarian cortex, right? We have seen that there are different stages into which these ovarian follicles are present. Now folliculus means little bag. Okay, now these are the structures which actually comprises of the oocytes which are present in the various stages of development, and also there are certain cells which are surrounding. As you can see, this one, that's the oocyte in the different stages. Of course, we will consider all these stages in detail as well in the upcoming videos. Okay, so just remember that the ovarian follicle, they comprise of the oocyte in the different stages of development, and these are surrounded by the cells. Okay, now when there is a single layer of cells, it is known as the follicular cells, and later on as the follicle is developing, as you can see that these are the earlier stages, primordial follicle which develops into primary follicle. Okay, then primary follicle develops into secondary follicle into the mature follicle or the Graafian follicle. Okay, so as the follicle is growing, the number of layers of cell also changes. So when several layers are formed around the oocyte, it is known as the granulosa cells. Okay, now this function of these surrounding cells is to nourish the developing oocyte and secretion of the estrogen as the follicle is growing larger. Then the next component is the mature follicle, or it is also known as Graafian follicle. This is the one. Okay, that's the matured follicle. Okay, so this is a fluid filled follicle which is ready for rupture and it is ready to expel its secondary oocyte. Of course, we'll come to the process of formation of secondary oocyte, that is the oogenesis, in detail in the upcoming videos. Okay, so just keep in mind that the secondary oocyte, which is a female gamete, it is released from the mature follicle or the Graafian follicle by the process of ovulation. So this rupture of this Graafian follicle and the release of secondary oocyte, that is known as the ovulation, okay, by which the discharge of the secondary oocyte will take place. And the next component is the corpus luteum, that is yellow body. As you can see, this one, it contains the remnants of the mature follicle after the ovulation. So once the ovulation takes place, the remaining portion, it turns out to be a corpus luteum which contains a clot of blood at the center. Okay, so this corpus luteum then starts producing the hormones like progesterone, estrogen, relaxin and inhibin until it gets converted into a fibrous scar tissue called corpus albicans. So slowly corpus luteum, it will degenerate and it will get converted into corpus albicans ultimately. Okay, means the white body. Okay, so it is white, becomes whitish in color. As you can see here, it is yellowish in color, but here it becomes whitish in color. That is the corpus albicans. Okay, so these are the components of the different components of the ovary. So we have considered the location, the structure of the ovaries as well as the histological details of the ovaries. Okay, so this is the reference for my presentation. Thank you for watching.